Since 2007, one man has dared to expose the sinister power players on all sides of the phony political spectrum. Armed with over 30 years of research knowledge of the paranormal, government conspiracies, geopolitics, secret and ancient societies, the esoteric arts, and much more. One man's quest for knowledge has become a mission for the enlightenment of all people. Broadcasting from the conspiracy ground zero of Dallas, Texas, this is The Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the broadcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. It is Friday, November 29th, 2019. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with me again for another edition of the broadcast. Going to be getting into various topics of discussion and news items for you here tonight, as per usual. So excited about jumping on into all of it with you here for the proceedings this evening. So thank you very much yet again for being with me. I didn't do a Thanksgiving show yesterday. I was going to do that, but I ended up not doing it because I wanted to save the material. Because normally we have our fundraising week where we raise the funds we need to cover operating costs for the month to stay alive. And I knew that since this was a holiday week here in the States and kind of a weird one, and then the first falling on Sunday and all that stuff, I was like, I'm probably going to be doing shows all through the weekend. So, and I've kind of, even though I haven't done this yet, I've wanted to, at least as a goal, to at least start taking one day off a week, like Sunday or something, just to have a day not to work on anything. Of course, that's easier said than done because my mind and my brain just doesn't work like that. But I decided to have a chill day yesterday and not do the show. So if you're looking for the show yesterday, I apologize. But I'm here today and I got stuff to talk about. So I'll be getting into all of that with you here tonight out of the gates. It is Black Friday. And we've got some, as I mentioned in the last show, we've got some deals going on right now for you all in the download shop. Those deals will be running until midnight tomorrow night on Saturday, November 30th. So go check out the download shop, get some deals. If you haven't gotten all my work yet, all my audiobooks and all my films and presentations and all that, with the deals that are going on in there now, you have no excuse. If you've been putting it off, now is the time for you to go in there and get all my stuff or some of my stuff. Just get whatever you can afford. I discounted a lot of stuff. Well, they've never been this low discounted, never be this low discounted again. So go in there and get yourself some deals. There's deals on movie packages. There's deals on the complete audiobook collection package. There's a deal on the complete collection, which has all my work, all the stuff that's for sale in the download shop, all the audiobooks, all the films, all the presentations. It's usually $175 for that package. It's on sale for $120. So, and I put a little promo video up as well on YouTube just to let everybody know. And, if you've already got some of that stuff, you could also, it's a great time to be able to get some of that stuff and think about that for a gift for somebody in your family or somebody that you know that could use the info. You can go and buy a little thumb drive or something off of Amazon, and you can download that complete collection, and then you can put all the files onto that and give it to somebody in their stocking or in a box or whatever. Hanukkah gift, Kwanzaa gift, whatever the fuck you do it. And give the gift of info this holiday season. It's much better than, some crap you're going to get off of Amazon, that's for sure. It's all, handcrafted by a human. Me. So, just a reminder of that. And again, as I mentioned, this is our fundraising week. We got to reach 100% of our operating cost goal. The good thing is, for once, we've got the first is on a Sunday, so we'll actually technically have until Monday to raise everything we need. So time for everybody to act, time for everybody to step up. We're running out of time. We need everybody to start getting in now so it doesn't get down to the wire, and we have a big amount that we have to contend with on Monday. So everybody act now so we can get this handled, get this taken care of, and I can get on to the task at hand, which is the information, the film work, and all that. So act now, act accordingly, and help us stay alive. We don't want to go under right now, right here at the end. It's been close the past couple of months. We've barely made it. It's come down the wire. Last time we made it by like 15 minutes. Not even kidding you. We were 15 minutes away from being out and done and out of my ass. So let's not let that happen again. Shouldn't happen. There's no reason it should happen. All of you awesome people out there can step up and do this. Every single person, 19 people or whatever it is, whatever. I don't know how far we are from our goal. 18 people, 17 people, something like that. 17 people. Let's just say 17. Put in $100 each. We'll be there. We got thousands of people listening to each and every one of these shows, so that's not a goal that is unobtainable. And for such a small amount, with the audience that we have, it's completely doable. So just every single person, obviously put in whatever amount you can. If you can put in over $100, you can put in $500. If you can put in $1,000, whatever. If you can put in $1,500, whatever you can do. If you can put in a large amount, put in the largest amount you can. Everybody can put in 100, put in 100. But whatever amount you can, put that in so we can make it and survive. And I lost a lot of productivity again this month from setbacks, from not getting support and all that. For 2 weeks in a row, we didn't meet our operating cost goals. So now's the time. Now's the time to act. I need everybody to step up and do it. Let's go. Let's do this. I got a big response. I got to tell you, I was amazed at the response that I got to my show the other night, where I challenged Alex Jones to a UFC fight. Listen, a lot of people, some people thought I was joking about that. I was totally not joking about that. I was absolutely fucking deadly serious. I know some they probably sounded like shtick or that. I'm deadly serious. If he would accept it, I would do it. I would fucking do it. But the fact of the matter is, it ain't ever going to happen. It's never going to happen. And not because I don't want it to happen. It's never going to happen because Jones is never going to publicly acknowledge me in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just to tell me to fuck off. I mean, I could sit up here. You got to understand, these guys are getting marching orders from the top down. Okay? And they're getting marching orders to not even talk about me, even if it's negative, because they don't want any light put on me. Because then they're going to have a bigger problem on their hands. They don't have a problem on my hands when they can do the chicanery and the trickery and all that shit and keep my numbers, like they do with my Facebook page, where, I'm looking at it now, where, the Facebook numbers, I'll get these stats that say, 100 new people liked the page this week or 50 new people liked the page this week. And yet when you look at the overall number of likes on the page, it never goes up. It's never gone above or below around 2,000 ever in almost 10 years of its existence. And yet when you look at the stats, it doesn't show people are dropping off or unliking the page. Not at all. It'll say 100 new likes this week, 50 new likes this week. But then when you look at the overall number, it never goes up at all. It's the same thing. Like I've got, almost 18,000 subscribers, which I know I should have way more than that. But then, not every video is even getting close to that many views as to how many subscribers are. And each video almost gets the exact same amount across months and months and months and years and years and years. That's bullshit analytics. Anybody that knows anything about analytics knows that nobody on the planet sustains the same exact numbers over any period of time. It's total bullshit. It's all manipulated. And it's all designed to keep people from finding out about me, period. So that's the thing. I was serious. I would fucking do it. I'd love to get in the ring with that motherfucker. But it's never going to happen because these people are never going to publicly. Now, you understand, I could sit up here for 8 hours a day, every day of the week, and just make shit up about Jones if I want. I could sit up here and say, Alex Jones eats dead babies and molests children and fucking, fucks rabbits and eats dead grandma corpses out of the cemetery. I could just sit up here all day long and say the most foul shit. And Jones will never respond because responding would then be an acknowledgement of my existence, and they're not going to do that. They're just not going to do it. So, as much as the response, I got a lot of emails. Some people were like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." I wasn't bullshitting. If he accepted that shit, I would fucking do it. I would fucking do it. I'll get in the ring with that motherfucker. But somebody also pointed out that I'm trying to figure how old is Jonesy at this point? 47? He looks like he's about 57. I know he's older than I am. I'm 43. I mean, either one of us are really too old to be in there, but somebody was like, "Oh man, he's he's older than you, and you'd be picking on it, and shorter than you. You're bigger than he is, and old and younger than he is. You're gonna be picking on an old man." I don't know about that. His problem is he's gonna be punching up. That's the big problem with him. Like I said, though, I'll get him on the ground. He's done. All there is to it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's never going to happen because they're never going to allow. I mean, they won't even say my name, even if it's to fucking try and discredit me or call me a motherfucker. Even they won't even say my name. I mean, I remember when. Oh, this was back. Secret Right Volume 1 came out in 2009. So this was between Volume 1 and Volume 2 coming out. So this is between 2009 and 2011. When I started exposing the CMP and people started, when I first started talking, first couple of years, it was a rough go. From like late 2007, when I first found out about the group and started talking about it on the show and going on other shows and talking about it. It was a rough go from 2007 until 2009 when Volume 1 came out. And then after Volume 1 of The Secret Right came out, and as I've stated and talked about many times on the show, it wasn't an oversight. It was an intentional thing that I did in Volume 1 to not even mention Jones at all, but to show people that the people that were in the CMP and are in the CMP and he's connected to. Because I knew at that time, because people, you got to understand, it was a different time back then. If you weren't around back then, you just don't even know. But it was much more difficult. People didn't, it's kind of like Trump is now. People, some people don't even want to hear stuff about Trump, even if it's true. Well, that was the same way it was with Jones and Ron Paul and stuff back then. So it's a rough go for the first couple of years, but when I came out with Volume 1, and I started getting feedback on that film when it first came out, right away I knew I'd done the right thing, because I knew if I came right out of the gates with connecting Jones to CMP, that people were going to say, they were just going to focus only on that and ignore all the other pertinent information and just call it a hit piece against Jones and call it an attack against Jones. So I intentionally, with that first one, didn't mention that, but it still had the desired effect. Because I never even came out for the longest time, even for several years, for maybe even like 4 or 5 years. I never came right out, even on the show, and ever came right out and said that I thought Alex Jones was a member of the CMP. I don't even know if I've even ever said that. I've definitely said he's connected. I definitely said it's possible that he could be, or maybe he's attended meetings. I mean, like that, for instance, that remember that famous clip? I think this was the clip that probably even made Jones the most famous, was that clip where he confronts George Bush. And one of the things that I found out when I first started researching the CMP stuff was that, because Jones even talked about this, that particular time when he did that, that was like in 2000 or something like that. It was when Bush was campaigning, and he went to San Antonio for a campaign stop, and that's when Jones did that confrontation thing. Well, what Jones didn't tell you, and what I subsequently started finding out later on and verified 100%, is that at that exact same time in San Antonio, there was a Council for National Policy meeting that weekend or that week. And Bush, this is all admitted to, Bush went and met. You got to remember, he was down in the polls, man. He was not the front runner that year. People forget that because he won. People forget, stuff goes down the memory hole and people just forget things. He was not the front runner. Bush attended the Council for National Policy meeting in San Antonio the exact same time when Jones went and confronted him. And Bush nodded and yes, man, to all of their requests, only appointing pro-life judges to the Supreme Court, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when I found that out, I went, oh, okay. Okay. This must be how Jones even knew he was going to be there and even, and got access to go in there and confront him. Because that thing always felt staged to me. Even before I even had questions about Jones, that whole him confronting Bush thing seemed staged to me. So I never called out Jones for being in the Council for National Policy, but here's what happened. Here's the magical thing that happened after I came out with the See Right Volume 1. My listeners, and not even and people who weren't even my listeners, just people who heard about the film and saw the film and everything, and it got passed around. They just, from the information, this is so awesome. I mean, I know it's bad because it's kind of how disinformation starts sometimes, but it was cool at the time. Just based on the information I had presented so far to people started putting it together in their own minds and on their own without any sort of, stimulus for me at all, other than the films and me talking on the show. People started putting it together in their own minds that Alex Jones was in the CMP. And it became like a meme, within people were saying it. Alex is CMP. I know he's CMP. Alex Jones is CMP. And so people started firebombing. There was a period of time where Jones had to just shut down calls. He couldn't take calls because every call that was coming in, they were trying to screen them out. And every call that was coming in, people were asking him about being in the CMP. I've got some of those recordings somewhere on hard drives. I need to find some of those and re-upload those for people that haven't heard them. I put some of the clips in the Secret Right Volume 2. But boy, you could hear the tone in his voice, folks. He was scared. He was getting scared because he knew people were starting to figure this out. He even did a few shows where he talked about the CMP and attempted to downplay them. He brought Phyllis Schlafly on and started trying to get her, because she was a member, to downplay it and all this stuff too. He had lots of different guests. I mean, it got to the point where he was having to address it and try to downplay it and bring people on to try and downplay it. But yet in all that time, he never said my name. He would never say my name he would say things where you knew 100% it was me he was talking about. Because I exposed the fact that in his it was Terror Storm 2 or 1.5 or in-game 1.5, I think it was. And he had a clip of Phyllis Schlafly in there talking. And this is long before he had her on and talk about the CMP or any of that stuff. And he has a clip in there where there was shot at a Council for National Policy meeting where Phyllis Schlafly's talking in front of a podium that says the Council for National Policy on it. And he tried to downplay that. Oh, that was just a clip we pulled off YouTube. No, that was a clip they uploaded to YouTube after the fact to a different channel that didn't have Jones's name on it. They just started some channel and, put a fake name or whatever on it. so that later he could come back and go, we got that clip from a YouTube channel. That wasn't even ours. Oh, yeah, right. So of all the clips out there of Phyllis Schlafly, you just happened to use one that had her specifically speaking at the Council for National Policy, and yet you're just going to act like that's no big deal. There's nothing to it. Okay, sure. So, like I said, these guys are never going to say my name, but it was just so hilarious to see the impact and hear the tone in Jones' voice when he's, well, I don't know why people are so making such a big deal about this. It had the Hunt brothers in there. The Hunt brothers were in that group, and the Hunt brothers fought the New World Order. Really? The Hunt brothers fought the New World Order. I mean, that's when I knew he was sunk. I mean, that's when I was just like, dude, you're not really going to expect that everybody is so stupid that they believe that yarn, are you? Come on. So again, like I said, I would totally do it, but it's not going to happen because they're not going to allow any light to shine on me for any reason, good or bad. I watched, you guys watched The Irishman yet? Martin Scorsese? Fucking A. Holy shit, what a fucking movie that was, dude. That's a great fucking movie. And you know what's interesting the most to me about that movie is how, as of course, in the media and everything, they're really going out of their way. And this is how you know this is true, is they're really going out of their way to drive home the idea and reinforce to people, oh, hey, this is just a work of fiction. And honestly, it's largely, it's more not a work of fiction than it is a work of fiction at all. I mean, all those names in there are real names. That's what's interesting about Martin Scorsese. He has that ability to be able to do something like that, to make a movie like that. I mean, it's just like, Goodfellas. To me, it's a trilogy. I mean, I always wanted there to be, because I probably have watched Lifetime. Shit. Dude, I've probably watched Goodfellas and Casino. Dude, I've probably watched those movies. I mean, as much as I've watched any other movie. I've probably seen Goodfellas 150 times, maybe more than that. Probably seen Casino 100 times. But what's interesting is that in Goodfellas, I mean, a lot of that, a lot of that stuff was based on actual people and actual events, but not verbatim history. And then with Casino, what's interesting about Casino is that they use a lot of fake names. Almost all of the names of the characters and people were fake and changed around, but all of that stuff actually did happen. I've done research into it. In fact, there are scenes in the movie that are depicted identically to how they happened in real life. There's actual footage you can go look up and see. There's footage of, like where De Niro's character, the guy that runs the casino, where he's, I think the character was played by Dick Smothers. He was like a judge or something. And he's like, did I not comp you? Were you not my guest at the casino? And this, that, and the other. And you're calling me a liar and all that stuff. That's, verbatim. You can actually go watch the actual footage from that. The events in Casino are almost 100% absolutely true. They just changed the names around. In fact, dig this. When they were putting together the movie, you remember the stuff with Joe Pesci's character in there and stuff, right? I mean, it's just classic. You Jew motherfucker, you! You Jew motherfucker, you crossed me again, I'll leave you right where I fucking found you. You fucking Jew motherfucker, you! Oh, shit. It's so classic. You Jew motherfucker, you! You crossed me fucking again, I'll leave you right where I fucking found you. Tommy, do this guy a fucking favor. Tommy, I got your fucking head in the vice. Come on, give me a name here. Don't make me be a fucking bad guy. Don't make me be a bad guy. They actually, this is what's crazy. The guy that Joe Pesci's character was based on, I mean, you saw the shit he did in that movie. It's so over the top. Dig this. The shit that guy did in real life was so over the top that Scorsese had to play it down. They had a discussion with the producers. They actually had to play down what that guy did in real life and to depict it less than. Can you believe that? You know how over the top Pesci was in that. They actually had to play it down. I've never heard of this ever happening in any other movie, but they had to play it down what this guy did in real life because the producers felt that it would not be believable to the audience if they depicted it out as it actually happened. That's just unprecedented. Normally they have to, normally in movies it's the complete opposite, 100% of the time. They got to, pump stuff up and add the dramatic stuff to it, make it seem, more dramatic than it was. No, not with this guy. This guy was so fucking insane and so over the top. They had to lessen what he did because they were afraid people wouldn't believe it. That's just insane. But I've always wanted there to be, kind of a third film. And again, it's not like they're necessarily take place in the same universe, but they happen during the same time, especially Casino. Casino and Irishman, there's a lot of stuff in there that overlaps. But if you read the book, I Heard You Paint Houses. And it's been people, there's been some, I don't know, Vice or one of those Esquire, I don't know, some magazine tried to, play it down or whatever. But this was, this was the actual account as it happened by the guy that De Niro played, Frank Sheeran. And that's the one thing when I was watching it, I was, just for my own research, there's so much. I mean, it's a legit movie, man. When you're watching that, you can go and research this stuff. There's legit stuff. I think it's more of but of course they can't do that. Scorsese, they murdered Scorsese. It's actually more factual than they are leading you to believe it is. And I got to tell you, I fell out of my fucking chair during one scene because, another great Pesci role, as you all remember, was his role in Oliver Stone's JFK, where he played David Ferry. And that rant scene towards the end of the movie, towards the end of JFK, where they're in the hotel, and he's all fucking tweaked out. Black, give it to me, black. He's going fucking, tweaking out. And he goes on that fucking rant, Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we practice to deceive. What else did he say? I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm trying to remember what he says. Who killed the president? Who did kidney? The fucking shooters don't even know. It's a mystery wrapped inside a riddle, inside an enigma. I'm gonna fucking die. And he's going off on all that shit. You should watch that scene and then watch The Irish. Dude, I about fell in my chair. And if you don't really know they shouldn't have called The Irishman. Should have been called more appropriately. Should have been called. It could have just as easily have been called Who Killed Jimmy Hoffa, or just Hoffa or Jimmy Hoffa. It could have easily been that. It's kind of deceptive. I mean, you can tell when you watch the preview or whatever that it's got some, that obviously Hoffa plays a big part in. And yeah, I got to tell you, Al Pacino probably. I mean, listen, Al Pacino. There's nothing you can say about Al Pacino hasn't already been said. Everybody knows he's a legend. Everybody knows he's a fucking phenomenal actor. You've all seen his movies. I've grown up my whole entire life watching his movies. I I'll be honest with you, too. I watched Scarface with my dad long before I was old enough to have ever should have been watching that shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. God bless my dad. Rest his soul. God bless him for letting me watch the shit that he let me watch way before I ever should have been watching it. Now, if there was a sex scene or something come on, he'd always be like, hide your eyes. But, I mean, violence and cursing, I could watch that all day. But I remember watching Scarface when I was a little too young. Probably 7 or 8, maybe 8. When did Scarface come out? 82, 83? And movies would usually come out on HBO like about a year or so. So whatever year it was, it came on HBO for the first time, maybe like 84. I watched it with my dad. So I was probably 8. I literally, the first date I ever went on in my entire life, the first date I ever went on, my girlfriend and I went and saw Carlito's Way with Al Pacino at the theater. I watched it like a year ago, and I hadn't seen it so long. I'm like, God damn! And she was cool with it. She's totally into it. I was just like, how did I take a fucking? I just couldn't even. It boggled my mind. Even I was like, I took my first date in my entire life to see an Al Pacino movie that's violent. I mean, it just made me laugh, you know. So I've literally been watching the guy my entire life. Remember, he was in Dick Tracy. Tons of great movies, Son of a Woman, all those. But I have to say, I think Al Pacino I don't think he's ever been better than he was as Jimmy Hoffa. Because, you know, for all the stuff that's been made about the Irishman with the de-aging process they did with the characters where they made them look younger and all that, which was really good. I mean, they did a really good job on that. But, you know, for all that stuff that they did with like Pesci and De Niro and all that, throughout the entire movie, and listen, Pesci too, you got to give it up for him too. I mean, you got to remember that Pesci, out of all these guys, Pesci is the least actor out of all of them. You know, the guy wasn't a trained actor or a professional actor or anything. This guy was a musician and a stand-up comedian. Remember the guy? He died not too long ago. Died in 2017. He was in a ton of Scorsese movies. He was in Raging Bull with Pesci. He was in Casino with Pesci. He was in Goodfellas. Remember the guy? Remember in Goodfellas, he's the guy? Remember the guy that fucking they stomp out, they kill and put in the trunk? Now go get your fucking shine box. You motherfucker, you! I'll fucking kill you, motherfucker! I used to crack my dad up. I could make him turn red and make him start crying when I do my Pesci impersonation. It'd fucking crack the fuck. I could get him rolling with that. I just do it out of nowhere. But you motherfucker, you! He'd start dying laughing every time I do it. But the guy that go get your fucking shine box, that guy and Pesci were a comedy duo. They did like a fucking Rowan Martin and Abbott Costello type comedy act. It didn't really go anywhere. And Pesci was in some like low budget gangster movie. You know, he just got in it to be trying to make a little money. And he wasn't even doing anything. He was not doing music or comedy or anything at that time. In fact, almost like something like straight out of one of his characters in a movie. He was working in an Italian restaurant in like Brooklyn or something and living up in a little 1-bedroom apartment up above the restaurant he worked at. And it's so classic. I mean, it's like something out of one of his characters in a movie. And De Niro and Pesci were working on Raging Bull, I think it was. And they saw that low budget movie he was in. They were like, this guy's fucking great. We got to get this guy. But, and he retired from acting 20 years ago. Pesci retired from acting in 2009. I forget what that was about. It was some movie, maybe even been a Jimmy Hoffa movie they were making, or I can't remember. There was some kind of movie that they were working on. And he put on like 30 pounds to play this role, and then like something happened, and he ended up suing him. So he just got jaded. So he's only done I think he's only done maybe 2 movies in the past 20 years. He's come out of retirement very rarely. I know he came out of retirement and did that, the film The Good Shepherd, which is another one. A lot of people didn't like that movie, but if you actually have studied the history and you know what time period that they're describing in that movie, that's another one that's full of a lot of truth. I mean, you had the first on-screen depiction of the Skull and Bones Society in that movie, where they're in the coffins and all that stuff. And that movie specifically takes place during the time period of the OSS, in the heyday of the OSS and its transition from the OSS into the CIA. So if you've never seen The Good Shepherd, and maybe you didn't see it again, maybe you didn't know that, watch it again, man. Especially if you know your shit when it comes to history and researching all this stuff, like I have with the OSS and the CIA. It's a fascinating movie. Pesci came out of retirement for that movie, and then another movie after that. And then that's it. So it was amazing to see him not lose a beat at all. But regardless of all that, when you're watching a movie, you can always still tell, no matter how into the character they are, that's Robert De Niro. That's Joe Pesci. Man, I got to tell you, Al Pacino really became Jimmy Hoffa in this movie, to the point where you have to remind. To me, that's the hallmark of a great performance from an actor, where when you're watching it, who they are in real life fades completely away. It doesn't even come into the picture when you're watching them. Does that make sense? You understand what I mean? There's very few performances that, in all of movie history that are like that. But that's when you got a good one, when just they cease to be the person they are anymore, and they become that character completely. And that, to me, that was the strongest performance. And there's a lot of great performance. The other thing I loved about The Irishman was how many callbacks and other characters, even people that maybe you only see on screen for 10 seconds or 5 seconds, and maybe only have 1 or 2 lines and they're gone, that have been in other Martin Scorsese films, going back to like fucking Mean Streets and Raging Bull and shit. I love that. And to a lot of people, if you haven't watched his movies as much as I have, you might not notice that. But I just like the fact that, even the little bit roles for the most part weren't just filled by, extras or whoever. He actually went back and got guys that he used in Goodfellas and guys that he used in Raging Bull and, guys that he used in Goodfellas. That's what I thought was just amazing. And it's long, though. It's long. You got to be in for the long haul. And, it's 3.5 hours long. But it wasn't too long, in my opinion. There wasn't a wasted second. You know what I mean? It wasn't like some movies are long and you're like, dude, you could have shaved fucking 45 minutes off that shit and it would have been just as good. Not the case with this film. It takes you on a ride, it takes you on a journey, and you feel like when it's over, you're like, oh man. And when you go, and the thing about it is, that's the other thing I love about Scorsese's films. And it's something that I try to do with my documentaries. And I really take the care and attention to with my documentaries is I try to make them, and this is something that, tons of people have told me to that I like about my movies too, is the fact that I try to give them replay value. I jam a lot of info in there in a short amount of time, but they have replay value. You can go back and watch them again, and after you've done your own research, you'll pick up on things you didn't pick up on the first go around. And that's always what I've loved about Scorsese's films. So he has this magical ability when he makes these films to make them rewatchable. And that's a skill, man. That's an art, because there are a lot of movies, and you know this as well as I do, there are a lot of movies out there that you never have to watch again. You watch them once and you've gotten everything you ever going to get from it from that one watch. You never have to watch it again. It's not one you're going to buy. Scorsese's movies, man, it doesn't matter how many times you see them. they're still enjoyable over and over and over again. I can't wait to sit whenever I have time to. I'm going to sit down and fucking watch Goodfellas, Casino, and The Irishman just right on top of each other. Fuck yeah. Well, I think there's more cocksuckers per capita in this movie than I think the word cocksucker is used more times than it's ever been used before in this movie. But I'll tell you the part where I fell out of my chair was when, just as I talked about before, Pesci played David Ferry in JFK. And there's a part where he's telling De Niro's character to take this truck. He doesn't know what's in the truck. And he tells him to take it to this place and meet a guy. This is what he says. He's like, take the truck. They're going to load it up for you. You're going to meet a fairy named Fairy. Fairy is in gay guy. You remember that? You remember in JFK? That's still the most disturbing fucking part of that whole movie to me. Oh my God, that shit gave me nightmares for fucking years, dude. I don't know how those guys didn't have to go to fucking trauma therapy after they made that movie. You remember, Jake, where fucking Joe Pesci and what's the other guy's name I'm trying to think of? I can't remember. But him, the other guy, and Kevin Bacon, remember that? We're doing all that gay shit, and they got all those fucking like powdered wigs on, like they're from the 1700s, and they're fucking each other in the ass, and you're mine, Mary, you're mine. He's calling, remember, he's like banging out, Pesci's like fucking banging out Kevin Bacon and calling him Mary, and they're wearing like powdered wigs. It's like, Jesus Christ. What the fuck? I've never read any reports. I've done a lot of JFK research. I've never read any reports that happened. I think Oliver Stone just threw that in because he's a sicko. I think he just wanted to see that. I think that's just something he wanted to see. Tommy Lee Jones, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, Clay Shaw. And I thought that was fuck. You're mine, Mary. You're mine. He's like fucking him up the butt. Anyway, he tells him to go pick up this. He goes meet a fairy named Fairy, and then drive this truck that ended up having all these weapons in it. Drive it down to this racetrack in Florida, and then you're gonna meet a guy with big ears named Hunt, and he's gonna give you a car. I fucking fell out of my chair. Because, well, I don't want to ruin the end of the movie for you, but not that it's a big surprise, but I mean, you know, obviously everybody knows Hoffa disappeared and was never found. But essentially they're connecting, you know, the same people that killed Hoffa to the same people that killed Kennedy and the rest of that. And just that sort of callback, you know, to having Pesci's character, you know, that portrayal is so iconic of David Ferry. And what's crazy is if you go look up a picture of David Ferry, and you'll be blown away at how similar to Joe Pesci he looks. I mean, the guy in The Irishman, you know, I mean, he kind of looked like him. It was pretty close. But not nearly as close as Pesci was to him. Wow. I fell out of my chair. I couldn't believe it. Because I knew they were going to have some JFK stuff in there, because obviously it was about the Teamsters and you had, you know, the mob and all that. But I was fucking blown away when he said, you know, go meet a fairy named Fairy. Being that he was David Ferry, I was like, holy shit balls. And, yeah, I don't know what to say. Phenomenal movie. I don't know. I mean, how old is, I think Scorsese at this point, 77, 78. So he could, you know, feasibly, he's probably got some more movies left in him. I don't know. I don't know what his plans are. I know what he's going to do, but all I know is that if this is the last movie that he ever does, and it very well could be. I doubt it will be, but it very well could be. It wouldn't bother me in the least. I mean, what a fucking ending to a career that it would be if he just, I loved this movie for all the reasons I hated that Tarantino Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I hated that movie. The most overrated piece of shit of the year was that movie. Terrible. Quentin Tarantino and his fucking white girl, dirty white girl feet. Love. Boys obsessed with feet. I loved it for all the reasons I hated that movie. That was what kept going through my mind the first time I watched it. It's all I could think about the first time I watched The Irishman. I was watching it going, fucking A, Tarantino. You just got your ass handed to you by a fucking blue hair, by a fucking senior citizen. A senior citizen just whipped your ass at filmmaking. Tarantino's all going to make one more film. You might as well just quit now. He doesn't have any edge. He lost that edge a long time ago. What was the last? I'm trying to think of what the last good Tarantino movie that he made that's not true. I liked, what was that one? The Hateful Eight. I liked that. Wasn't his best movie, but it was pretty good. I didn't like Inglourious Bastards. I didn't like that one at all. My dad loved that movie. I didn't like it. It's my least favorite Tarantino movie of them all. What else did he do? If I'm having to struggle to think of one, that tells you how many great movies he's made. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, let's say, Django Unchained, I thought was good. Yeah, that was a good one. That was fucking really good. A lot of people didn't like that one for whatever reason. I liked it. I thought it was fucking great. Especially Samuel L. Jackson in that, playing the house Negro in that. He was unbelievable. Still my favorite Tarantino movie of all of them, which is probably going to shock people that it's not Pulp Fiction, which, I mean, listen, I don't have to say, everybody knows Pulp Fiction's a great movie. I don't have to even say still my favorite one to this day is Jackie Brown. I've watched Jackie Brown probably more times than I've watched any of his movies. I could watch Jackie Brown right now. To me, it's just a masterpiece. And because the book that was based on was a masterpiece. Just the dialogue, the sequencing. I'm a huge fan of blaxploitation movies. Across 110th Street, which is the song they use in Jackie Brown, that there was a movie that came out in the 70s called Across 110th Street. It was a blaxploitation film. That was probably a huge influence for Tarantino. That's one of my favorite ones as far as blaxploitation films go. But I just love that genre. I love all those old blaxploitation films. I've watched all of them. They're fucking phenomenal. I love those movies because they were just so, for the time, they were just so real and not Hollywood and they were just raw, you know? They were so raw, much more raw and real than the other standard Hollywood movies and stuff that were coming out during that time. I just love those. And Tarantino loved those and had he really had the ability to, that's one thing I will give him credit for. I don't give him credit for much, He did the bulk of his best work in the 90s, let's be honest. He's kind of like Ed Norton. Ed Norton, everybody talks about Ed Norton being a great actor. Ed Norton did the bulk of he did all of the best work that he's ever done, probably will ever do, was done in the 1990s. You could probably make that same argument. I probably would make that exact same argument for Kevin Smith, too. All the best work Kevin Smith's ever done. It's funny. That's the other thing, too. And maybe people won't like me saying this, but truth hurts. It's got to be said. I think I've already said it before. I'll say it again. Because I think enough time has elapsed now where this can be said. Isn't it funny how much shittier movies have gotten? It's not going to be popular. People are not going to like me saying this, but it's the truth. I'm sorry. I got to say it. movies have gotten shittier since Harvey Weinstein isn't making movies anymore. Let's just be real. I mean, and two of his biggest boys who he funded films for was Tarantino and Kevin Smith. And neither one of them made a fucking very good movie in many years between them. And all their best shit was done with Weinstein funding it and Miramax and all that. But seriously, look at films overall. Look at films in the pre-Weinstein getting exposed era and the post-Weinstein era getting exposed. Again, not a popular thing. You wouldn't dare be able to say what I just said on mainstream media. Not at all. They'd fucking cancel you and run you out of town. I ain't got to worry about that because, nobody knows who the fuck I am anyway. But seriously, I know a lot of you agree. It's a fact. If you actually look at it, look at the movies that were coming out under Weinstein on a regular basis and look at, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think it's hard to make the argument that movies are better. I don't think you can make the argument movies are better since he's not making movies anymore. Not at all. The movies look at the movies he made, man. I mean, but that's the thing about the whole I'm not going to get in the Weinstein thing, but you all know about that. But that Weinstein was just a sacrificial lamb. I mean, these motherfuckers acting like the casting couch started and ended with Weinstein is just a complete horse shit. It was going on long before him, and it's going to keep going on long after he's dead and gone. Give me a break. And I'm not trying to say Weinstein was a good guy or anything. Obviously, he was a fucking scumbag. But if you put all that aside and you just strictly look at the work that he did while he was making films, it's hard to argue that very many other people in the position that he was have made and produced more great films than him. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to discuss that because, of the scumbag shit. But the Irishman, really, I mean, they had to fucking drag because Pesci wouldn't do it. He turned it down 20 times. He said no 20 times before finally De Niro called him up and said, look, this might be it, dude. We're not getting any younger. Scorsese's not getting any younger. We're not getting any younger. This might be it. If we don't do this and do this right now, there probably is a good chance it's never going to happen again. And Pesci may never do another movie again. But he blew me away. His performance, just because, like I said, 2 movies in 20 years or whatever, retired from acting, and yet, and again, not a trained actor, not a professional actor. And yet his performance and the nuance and the subtleties of his character, especially how he portrays it through the many decades that the film takes place over, it was just incredible. I mean, it was like the guy, it was almost as if he's become better with age and having not even acted any. And it's almost like, holy shit, he's better now than he was 20, 30 years ago. It's astounding, though. And just like I said, all the little bit parts in it, I like that he used, comedians. I like the fact that he puts comedians in there. I'm a big comedy fan, so I like that he used comedians in there for some of the roles. And in the same way, he's able to use comedians in a way where you're like, holy shit, I didn't even know that's who that was. Like Ray Romano. Like, I never liked Ray Romano. Never liked fucking Everybody Loves Raymond, that gay ass shit that he was in. But regardless of that, I mean, he, even before that show, he was a serious stand-up comic. Takes the art very seriously. But Ray Romano's in that, and it's like, he plays the lawyer, and he, you don't even notice it's Ray Romano. He's that character. What was the other one? Crazy Joe Gallo, played by Sebastian Maniscalco. Phenomenal. But what took the cake to me, even though it was only a little small part, I have to give it up because he was friends with him while he was alive, was Don Rickles, Jim Norton as Don Rickles. Oh, that was phenomenal. Like I said, it was only a small part. But if you type in Don Rickles, Jim Norton, you go look at the picture of them next to each other. Because in your mind, like on paper, you might think, I don't know about Jim Norton, playing Don Rickles. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But then you realize they were friends in real life, and you go look at the picture of them next to each other, and they kind of actually look like each other. I mean, fucking Norton could have been his illegitimate son, for God's sakes. And anyway, if you're a fan of Scorsese, and here's the other main unsung thing about Scorsese's films. I can't remember the lady's name, but it is a lady. I don't think that Scorsese has necessarily used her on every film, but he definitely used her on Goodfellas and on Casino and again on The Irishman. And I think she's the unsung hero of Scorsese's work. She's a phenomenal editor, and much of the things that you see, you can see it. If you watch some of his other films, there's some of Scorsese's films that you'll watch, and it's almost as if you have to even go look and see that his name is in the credits to even know that that's a Scorsese film. What was that one he did? It was like The Color of Money. The Color of Money. I didn't even know. I saw that movie probably 50 times. I swear to God, I probably saw that movie 50 times before I ever even knew it was did you know that? I didn't even know that. I didn't know for the longest time that The Color of Money was a Scorsese movie. I mean, it's a great movie, but it doesn't necessarily have some of the things you expect to see in a Scorsese movie. There's a few movies like that, and I think it has to do with the editing. But this particular editor, I can't remember her name. You can look her up. Phenomenal work, and I think that's attributed a lot to the look and overall feel of his movies, and also the stuff that he's, he was a pioneer of some of that Steadicam stuff. That's been used 100 million times over and copied 100 million times over in TV and movies, commercials, everything. That he really pioneered in Mean Streets, where he had where it's like you put the camera, it's like a Steadicam thing. It's like attached to the actor. It's like right on their face. You remember that if you've ever seen Mean Streets, there's that part where Harvey Keitel he's in the bar and he's all fucked up. Shit's getting thrown around and stuff, and the camera's right there and it's moving around. Man, that was completely invented by Martin Scorsese, and that camera technique's been used so much. But also the way, I mean, his movies are just a wet dream for somebody like me that's into filmmaking and into the art of it. When you see the Steadicam shots, these no edit shots, these seamless shots where there's no edits, where it's you see there's one particular one like this in this movie where it's like inside a barbershop. There's a guy getting shaved. The camera goes out of the barbershop and goes around and goes down this open hallway. And you see a person walking this way, and then it turns and two guys come up the stairs, and then it follows the guys up the stairs, and they go in one entrance, and then the camera keeps going down to these shops, and then it turns around, and you see flowers, and you hear pop, 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 people getting shot. I mean, just stuff like that, where it's these one shot, what they call one shots, where there's no edit, where the camera just rolls, and there's not even any dialogue, but the way that it's orchestrated, and the way that it's what's the choreographed, the way that the shot is choreographed and everything, it has more impact than something, a scene full of dialogue. It's just phenomenal. That whole film is like a fucking masterclass in acting and filmmaking. It really is. It really is. It's a fucking great movie. And I loved how, remember in Goodfellas, remember the blonde chick, the one's rolling her eyes and chewing gum, the one with the hat? I gotta have my hat. I can't fly without my lucky hat. She's in Irishman as well, and she plays Joe Hoffa, Jimmy Hoffa's wife. Just little things like that, little characters, little people that you saw and you remember from other movies. And again, Scorsese could have, and you don't see a lot of these people. You don't see them in movies at all anymore, very much. And Scorsese could have, easily gotten anybody that he wanted to, but instead he chooses to get these people that he put in a movie 20 years ago or 25 years ago, whatever, and bring them back. And even if they're only in there for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever, he brings them back, gives them a role, and it creates this thing where, like, especially if you watch The Irishman and then you go back and you watch Goodfellas, or you go back and you watch Raging Bull, or something, you'll go back and you'll go, God damn, I just saw that fucking guy. He might have only been in this movie for 10 seconds, but he's in it for another 10 seconds in The Irishman. It's just great to see that kind of thing where, the attention to detail that not many people are going to notice. And with The Irishman, the other thing that's interesting is that, and I think this is something the master filmmaker does, is that the movie jumps around a lot between time periods. It starts out in one time period. It jumps a lot between time periods, but never do they really ever tell you what time period that you're in at a particular time, but he makes it easy for you to know where you're at in those particular times. If you know, like, just certain things like a truck stop with a Stuckey's. Stuckey's was a popular roadside diner thing, and I remember seeing those when I was a kid, late 70s, early 80s, and then, they were gone. And one particular scene at the beginning where, he says, hey, look over there. Remember that? It's like a truck stop with a Stuckey's. He's like, so you kind of know, okay, we're definitely in the 70s here. A scene where they'll be somewhere and they'll be in a room, and, like I told you, he tells a guy named Hunt, which is E. Howard Hunt, go meet a guy with big ears named Hunt, and he'll give you a car. And that was the Bay of Pigs, because when he goes there and takes the truck to the guy, and De Niro's getting ready to take off, it's a bunch of Cuban guys loading up machine guns into trucks down in Florida. So right there, Bay of Pigs is about to happen. And then later on, he's in a hotel room with Jimmy Hoffa, and he's watching TV, and Jimmy Hoffa's like, what are you watching? He's like, this guy. He's like, I know this guy. Big ears. He's like, I know this guy. Big ears. And then it's the Watergate hearings, and it's E. Howard Hunt. And Hoffa says, his ears ain't so big. Because that's what he tells him when De Niro first encounters him. He's like, what are you looking at? It's kind of like Phil Collins in fucking Trailer Park Boys. What are you looking at? You're looking at my gut, aren't you? Oh, there's that sneeze I was going to do the other night. Finally came out. And anyway, he tells him, oh, you're looking at my ears. No, I'm not looking at your ears, man. Yeah, you're looking at your ears. I saw him. He's like, I'll let you know, I had a procedure to make them smaller. But right there, when you see him seeing E. Howard Hunt on TV, that's when you know, okay, we're during the Watergate period. So just phenomenal stuff like that. But anyway, definitely watch it if you haven't seen it. I know I talked too long about this, but it's a phenomenal movie. All right, so enough about The Irishman. Let's get into some news for you here now. AI mind reading tool produces video of human thoughts in real time. Wow. Well, that's just fucking great. I don't know about you, but I'm not thrilled about that idea. A mind reading tool powered by artificial intelligence has produced staggering video of human thoughts in real time. I remember seeing something like this a long time ago, probably 10 years ago, but it and there's not any video here, so I don't know how much better it's gotten now. Oh, wow. Oh, never mind. I see a picture now. Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. See, I don't know. That's a little different. This is basically, see, the way they phrase that and the example that they're giving here are two different things. Because it says, it can produce staggering video of human thoughts in real time. So that implies that whatever you're thinking, right, that it reproduces a video of what you're thinking. But what they're showing here is a person watching a video. And it's a video of like the inside cockpit of a car or going down the street. I say cockpit because it doesn't look like a normal car. It looks like a race car or something, you know, maybe like a McLaren or something. Because, you know, you've ever seen like those McLaren F1s where there's like one seat in the middle and there's the steering wheel's like in the middle of the driver sits in the middle front of the car. That's how this is. And so it's a person watching that. And it shows you the original image, and then it shows you the reconstructed image that the AI has picked up. This is more like mind reading than it, or not mind read, because this says it's reading your thoughts. This is actually more reading what's coming into your cerebral cortex through your eyes. That's two different things. This makes it sound like you can sit there and think about, you know, Alex Jones jerking off in a coffin at Skull and Bones and fucking, then that's what you're going to see. Well, that's not actually what's going on here. It's actually just reproducing whatever's coming into your ocular cortex or whatever, right? Whatever they call that shit. And here's a picture of a woman, and then the AI picks it up, and it's not that great. It's distorted and weird looking. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess this has the potential, if developed correctly. This is not much different than what I saw 10 years ago. And still, it's not, I wouldn't technically call it mind reading, because you've got to hook into this, you know, massive fucking skull cap thing like an EEG, where you've got all these electrodes on your head for it to even be able to produce this little nominal image, you know. So I don't know. I don't think this is something we need to shit ourselves over yet. We're probably 10, 20 years off of them having stuff like this, where you don't have to have a skull cap with EEG sensors on your brain hooked to every part of your skull, which is what they're doing here. You know, when it gets to the point where they can just hit you with an infrared beam while you're walking down the street or at an airport, and if you're thinking about, you know, jerking off to fucking midget porn, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're going through TSA, and TSA goes, "Hey, check it out. This guy's fucking thinking about jerking off to midget porn over here." Okay, that's when we're at the fuck we need to be worried level. But I think at this point, this is just trying to scaremonger stuff. And look, you know, I've talked about that. There's a fine line with all this stuff, and it's a fine line to toe, because there's so much of this technology now and what stuff that is dangerous, it is pervasive, and it is we need to be worried about. But then there's other elements of it that's overblown. And the overblown scaremongering of it has a desired agenda. And it's just like the stuff that people got mad about because I wouldn't jump all over the scaremongering, fearmongering for 5G. When all of that scaremongering, fearmongering that's been parroted and repeated in the so-called truth and conspiracy movement all came from Russia Today. It all came, and I've exposed Russia Today for the propaganda news outlet they are, their connection to Jones, Luke Radowski, and all those guys. It's used, and they're using and have used, like I said before, you know, it's not popular, but the whole 9/11 truth movement was started by that too. It's all coming from Russia. Go look it up. Type 5G Russia Today. And go read all, don't believe me, go do your own research. Type Russia Today, 5G, and go read all of the articles and read about how Russia Today have been the ones, and Russia has been the ones that have been fear-mongering 5G because they don't have the infrastructure to have 5G yet. So they're trying to create an environment of fear, because when we get the 5G network up, Russia doesn't have the technology yet to be able to tap in and manipulate that the way they do 4G. And look, I never said 5G wasn't dangerous. People put words in my mouth all the time and say I say things I never said. They do that to everybody. They do it to me too. I never said it wasn't dangerous. I always said that it wasn't any more dangerous as 4G, which is just as dangerous. But this whole thing where I'm supposed to jump on the conspiracy theories that everybody else jumps on, people get so butthurt at me Doesn't matter how right I am about all the other stuff I've been right about. But when I won't jump on the things because they bought the bullshit and then I don't buy it, then they don't like me anymore. And that's fine. I'm not going to jump on. It's the same thing with the flat earth stuff. I said that from the beginning. I said, I'm not even saying that maybe the flat earth stuff isn't true, but you'll never see me jump on it. You'll never see me get behind it. You'll never hear me get on board with it because of who put it out and pushed it initially. Never. And the two biggest culprits that were pushing that stuff came right in during the Cass Sunstein propaganda era. The Freemasons wasn't like what degree was it? Was it like the 17th degree? I forget which degree. It talked about where in Morals and Dogma, and then the Bible. A Hebrew book. Isn't it funny how Christians hate Jews because they believe that the Jews killed their beloved Jesus, and yet it was the Romans who actually killed Jesus, and the Bible's actually a Hebrew book written by Jews? It boggles my mind, the idiocy of people. But the fact of the matter is, the whole 5G thing is Russian propaganda that they used Russia Today to get people to jump all over and make YouTube videos about, because they don't have the infrastructure yet. And go look up Putin 5G. Putin openly talks about how he wants 5G in Russia. Yet his own Russian FSB news, propaganda news station, is putting out propaganda specifically to Americans. They're not putting it out to the Russians. They're putting it out to Americans through Russia Today, which has its headquarters right down the street from the White House, I might add. Because they've been able to manipulate and use 4G for intelligence gathering and everything. You can go look all this up. It's all verified. Once the 5G thing, it's too far ahead of the technology that Russia currently has, so it's going to eliminate their ability to be able to monitor and manipulate and everything else and do intelligence gathering. That's why they created all this scaremongering. And again, I never said it wasn't dangerous. I just said it was just as dangerous. 4G is just as dangerous, yet people never made a big deal about it. And now that they're switching to the 5G, everybody started making, it was just like it's just scripted, right on time, just like everybody in the truth movement went lockstep with Trump. And a lot of them went lockstep and started becoming white supremacists. I've been doing this longer than a good majority of people out there have been into this information. It's just like people got mad when I didn't jump all over remember the scaremonger thing in Seattle a month or two ago, back in November? And I didn't jump all over that. I had people get butthurt at me about that too, because I didn't jump all over that and get on board with that, and then you saw what happens. And then they jumped on board with it, and it didn't happen, and I called it out, and then now I'm the bad guy. I had a person say they weren't going to support me anymore because I was right about that being bullshit. Can you believe that? I get more shit for being right than somebody that makes up bullshit that turns out to be a lie does. How is that even possible? It's flabbergasting. I can't even believe it, but it's true. Former Deutsche Bank executive connected to Trump loans dies by suicide in Malibu. Yeah, let's put air quotes on that suicide. Clearly, this guy was whacked. I didn't have enough time to do any in-depth research in this. Anybody else wants to jump in on this? I can bet you $1 to donuts this guy is connected to Russia, too. What's interesting about all these articles about this guy is they keep mentioning Deutsche Bank and calling him a quote-unquote former Deutsche Bank executive. Well, what little digging I did have time to do, I had about 5 minutes time to dig before the show. He hadn't even worked for Deutsche Bank in many years. Who he was actually working for at the time was he was with Starwood. Starwood, the article I found is this from 2016. Starwood's Chief Operating Officer Tom Bowers to its board and compensation committee. Opus Bank said early Monday Tom Bowers has been appointed to its board effectively June 23rd. But yet in all these articles about this guy, Tom Bowers, that supposedly committed suicide, it keeps saying Deutsche Bank. When actually it was Opus Bank he was with. I did find this. I did find a LinkedIn page with a guy with his name is Dmitry Semenov, Semenov. Clearly Russian. That works for this Opus Bank. So, Tom Bowers, Opus Bank, Russia. If anybody out there has time to dig into that, send me what you find. I bet you $1 to donuts. This has got some Trump Russia connections here with this guy. And clearly this was not a suicide. Clearly this guy was whacked. Revealed dead Deutsche banker who signed off on controversial loans for Trump was being discussed by FBI as part of a probe into bank where he acted as a gatekeeper for the wealthiest clients before his suicide. Well, never mind. Bing, bang. There we go. Close the books on that one. A former Deutsche Bank executive who signed off on several controversial loans to Donald Trump was being discussed as part of an FBI probe into the bank where he acted as a gatekeeper for its wealthiest customers before his death. Thomas Bowers, 55, hanged himself. Oh, they love that one. One of their favorite ones. One of their favorite ones. They love to hang people and make it look like they hung themselves. Let me say this again, just in case I haven't said it enough recently, because I feel like I need to say this a couple of times a year on the record so people know. I will never kill myself, okay? I'll never hang myself. I'll never shoot myself. I don't take any drugs, prescription or otherwise. Yeah, I do smoke the occasional weed from every now and again, but I don't do anything else. So if I ever come up dead and they say I hung myself or fucking, I don't do fucking auto asphyxiation either. Regular jerking off is just fine for me. I don't need to choke myself out to get off more. What else? Shoot myself 6 times in the head, whatever. I just want to go on the record and say this, that I will never kill myself. So if they ever come out and say that I killed myself, please do your appropriate due diligence and make sure that I get avenged on that, will you? Because I won't ever kill myself. But if they ever come out and say I did, you automatically will know that something's up. You also will know that's a lie. So I like to go on the record every so often and let that be known. Because, no, I'll never do myself in. Now, they ain't getting off that easy. They ain't getting off that easy. They're going to have to kill my ass or just wait for me to die. Y'all ain't getting off that easy. Fuck no. I didn't come to this planet to fuck around. I came down here to get busy. I was put here to do this. Yeah, it says he hanged himself, and then right below it says the banker was not working for Deutsche Bank at the time. Right, but yet that's what the title of your article says, and that's what every headline says. Former Deutsche banker or Deutsche banker. He's among a handful of people who signed off on loans totaling $2 billion to Trump in the decades before he became president, even after other institutions turned him down. Oh, well, never mind. Never mind. I don't need anybody to dig into any of this. I've already dug into this on my own with the Trump loan stuff. Yeah, Russia. Yeah. That Russian right-wing mafia were the ones who bailed Trump out on all that stuff. They paid all this stuff off. So, yeah, most definitely. This guy was whacked by Russians. Absolutely. Close the book on that. Never mind. We don't need any. I was going to try. I said, hey, look into this Opus Bank thing. Probably has something to do with that. Well, you can if you want, and maybe you'll find some stuff, but I'm good. I'm good on that for me. That's all I need. Clearly, this guy was off by the Russian hit squad. Sorry, I had to get a drink there. 2 tourists caught carving initials into 1,300-year-old Mayan temple. Talk about some motherfuckers who should be hung. Why would you do that? Just people are so jealous dumb these days. Oh, how dare these Mayans? How dare they be have a civilization. I won't ever have a civilization like this. I'm going to carve my name into it, and I'll be on there forever just like they are. I should have took them and let the cartel cut their nuts off is what I would have done. 2 male tourists, probably gays, were caught red-handed carving their initials into a 1,300-year-old Mayan temple in Guatemala. The men who looked middle-aged, yeah, probably gay, were caught scratching AMP, ass and pounding, yeah, told you, probably gay, onto the wall of Tikal Temple 2. The pyramid is Mesoamerican, a cultural sign from pre-Columbian societies that flourished, blah, blah, blah. You all know that. Ass and pounding, AMP, huh? Yep. Should have known. I posted this on our Global Reality Facebook page the other night. This to me felt, listen, people forget now because it's been a few months. It's been since July, and people kind of forget this now. But when I made my Naomi Campbell's birthday party video, a lot of people forget that other than just her name appearing on the Lolita Express airplane manifest, nobody at that point had exposed any of the stuff concerning Naomi Campbell yet. I was the first one to do it. I was the first over the fucking target on this. That video I put out, Epstein was still alive when I put that video out. I mean, I was the first one that discovered all the stuff with her and Vladislav Doronin. The first to put together the stuff with the elite modeling agencies being used as a front for the sex trafficking and for the supermodels charities being used to front money and Trump giving big bouts of money to Naomi Campbell and all this stuff. One of the things I talked about in that video were these crazy houses that Vladislav Doronin seemed to just give to Naomi while they were dating, and then yet when they broke up, she got to keep all of them. And, of course, the reason why she'd get to keep all of them, money laundering purposes, cleaning up their money, using their charities for money laundering purposes to clean up these gangsters' money. And how that was a big red flag because, if you, first off, who buys somebody they're not even married to $100 million house? That's number one. And if you broke up with somebody, most people don't remain friends and they don't remain business partners, but they remain friends and business partners after even they broke up because, of course, when you're in that kind of criminality, you can't afford that kind of stuff. But now that there's been a lot more light put on Naomi, now all of a sudden this happens. Now they're cutting bait. Now they're trying to separate from each other because they know they've been exposed. And I'm sorry. I don't care if you don't like it or not. I'm taking the credit for this one. Because there was literally nobody else that put together the Naomi Campbell thing before me, and that's a fact. So now they're selling the spaceship house. Just all of a sudden out of the blue, huh? It's funny how this all happened since Epstein died or had his death fate, whatever you believe. A futuristic mansion that was built for Naomi Campbell and a Russian force has been put on the market at a reduced price, now $78 million, by her ex-lover, Vladislav Doronin. And they hardly ever talk about Vladislav Doronin in the news at all. Yeah, these fuckers are scared now. You see what's going on here? They know they've been exposed. Now they're cutting bait. They're cutting bait. They're cutting ties. They're cutting connections. We got them. We fucking got them, y'all. And I say we because, listen, I might take the credit for putting together the video and putting together research and doing that. But again, this is a fucking hard, cold fact. Ain't none of this possible without you and the people that donate to my work. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to expose stuff like this. And that's why I need you to continue to contribute and help us reach our goals for our operating costs, because I can't do this without you. And I got more of this shit I'm sitting on. In fact, I got a breaking news story I'm going to be revealing tonight after I get off this show. I can't even tell you about it right now, because if I talk about it on here, somebody will scoop me on it before I make a video and put it up. So be looking forward to that after you hear this show. I got another breaking news story coming. And again, all those things are only possible if you can contribute and you help us reach our operating cost goals every month and help us keep going. But this 100% is a result of the stuff that we've done, exposing specifically Naomi, because I've been on her ass. I've been on her ass hard. She knows it. She knows it. You guys see that video, that picture where she's talking about, oh, I can't be responsible for my past, and I can't constantly be, I'm just haunted by things that have happened in my past. And she's wearing this like fucking Illuminati eye fucking necklace. You guys seen that? Fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It's scary looking. It's like the most Illuminati looking thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like it. It's insane. It's like an eye in a pyramid, weird looking Illuminati necklace. She's sitting there talking about, oh, everybody thinks I'm a criminal because of Epstein and all this stuff. And she's wearing this fucking clearly some kind of like secret order necklace while she's saying this. The house, which comes complete with its own nightclub, was built in an elite suburb of Moscow. The original design was scribbled on the back of a napkin during the pair's 4-year relationship and is thought to have been intended as a Doronин's wedding present for the supermodel before they later broke up. Bullshit. All that's bullshit. Number one, the napkin thing, you can see what the real story. If you want to hear the real story about the provenance of the house and the napkin thing, watch my video on YouTube, Naomi Campbell's birthday party. Because I've got a video in there of Vladislav Doronin actually talking about that. He scribbled it on a napkin for the lady who designed the house, who later ended up dying shortly after completing the concept for the house. Yeah, I'm sure her death was natural causes too. The outlandish Russian love nest cost $109 million to build and was originally offered for buyers for a sky-high $117 million, according to local media outlets. Yeah, they're cutting bait. They're cutting ties. She doesn't want, I mean, it's funny. You know, she had no problem hanging on to this house and keeping this house when they broke up. But now that the chickens are coming home to roost, and I've started to expose what all this stuff is really about, and the real reasons why Trump went right out of the gates after he got elected saying, I'm going after, you know, sex trafficking and all this stuff and human trafficking. The real reason behind that is because the people who control him and bought out his debts and bailed him out, the Russian right-wing underground guys, are going after the left-wing guys that are connected to the Hollywood types. Vladislav Doronin, I've talked about his connection to the pictures of him and Leonardo DiCaprio and looking like they're doing gay shit together, touching his face, doing weird shit. And, you know, both of these left and right Russian mafia guys are all involved in sex trafficking. One end's trying to shut down the other end. That's what all this is about. And that's why nothing's ever going to come out of the Mueller probe, because all these guys, left and right, are all into this stuff. The right-wingers want you to think that it's only the left-wingers that are in on the sex trafficking and all this stuff. And the left-wingers want you to think that the right-wingers are the only ones that are doing bad, and they're the only ones connected to Russia. Bullshit. It's bullshit. It's horseshit. And before it's over, I will prove it to the world. All right. You know what? I've got some more news stories. A few more. Nothing. I got a few more, but I'm going to save them for tomorrow. I'm already an hour and a half in tonight. And I want to be sure I've got some extra material for tomorrow and the next day for you guys. So I'm going to cut it there tonight. I'm going to go work on this new breaking news story that I've got coming out for you guys later on tonight. It's a doozy. It's pretty crazy. And I'm going to work on getting a little video up and having that out for you later tonight after I get this show up and done and all that stuff. All right, guys. Again, we got to reach our operating cost goal. I think we got like 1,700 left to go or something like that. So let's just get everybody in at the largest amount you can get in between now and Monday so we can get this done. I can continue to kick these motherfuckers' asses. But it's, again, I've dedicated myself and my life to this. I just need you guys dedicated to supporting what I do here. And, again, you become a part of it when you do that. This is our work, not just mine. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Folks, this is Josh Reeves, and I'm here to tell you about a fantastic website, FixYourGut.com. FixYourGut.com can help you take control of your overall health. Are you sick and tired of suffering from indigestion, acid reflux, bloating, or abdominal pain? Do you run to the bathroom either all the time or hardly ever at all? Do you forget things often or have trouble concentrating? Are you depressed or anxious? Do you have IBD or SIBO? Digestive disorders are increasing in frequency because of our toxic-laden, fast-paced world. There are billions of microorganisms that live in your intestinal tract that have more to say about your health than almost anything else. Learn how to make sure your gut has more of the right organisms to improve your health and enhance your life. FixYourGut.com has over 200 free blog articles, and it's one of the most valuable resources on the planet to improve your overall health and well-being. Search either Fix Your Gut or We've Read the Documents on YouTube for the latest health and conspiracy information as well. You can also purchase John Brisson's book, Fix Your Gut, or get personal one-on-one health coaching to help get you back to living your life happy and healthy. Visit FixYourGut.com, the ultimate source for all things digestive health.